There are a few areas of San Diego that are going to see a big surge of growth in 2026. More homes being built, more people moving in, and a lot more attention. But before you decide to buy in one of these spots, there is a catch. Because depending on your lifestyle, your family, and what you want your day-to-day life to look like, this growth could either be a huge opportunity or a reason you might want to look somewhere else. So let's talk about these areas where change is coming fast and what it really means if you're planning on moving here. So first area that's going to see a big surge is going to be Encinitas, and that surge is going to be in density. Over these past few years, we've seen a lot more building in Encinitas, and that is going to continue going forwards. Previously, before that, Encinitas was very protective about anything that gets built within the city. Now, over the past few years, there's been more and more pressure for the city of Encinitas to conform with the housing requirements from the state of California. So we've seen a lot of projects being pushed through, and we're seeing them a lot get built right now, a lot get built in the new year. And part of the reason is something called the density bonus, which is allowing developers to put more units in a specific area if there's a certain amount that are affordable. So the density is coming on two fronts, mostly a lot of multifamily properties. So I'm gonna hop into the map here and show you the overlay of Encinitas, where those are being built. Not only that, we're seeing some infill communities as well. Now, Encinitas is built out a lot. So where are these infill communities going? These new, not master plan communities, well, I guess they are somewhat master plan, but these newer developments going, since there isn't a ton of space. There's also within the city of Encinitas, a lot of big infrastructure updates that have been going on around the way. So we'll get into that as well, but let's jump into the map. All right, so Encinitas is already pretty built out. A lot of Encinitas was done building in the 80s. There's a few new developments as you're going through here. Encinitas Ranch right up here is a newer development in like the early 2000s. You'll find a few other communities as well. But have you seen our other map videos where we go through neighborhood by neighborhood, showing you everything that you need to know about Encinitas? If you want a more in-depth like map and show you all the neighborhoods, areas where you're shopping, all that kind of stuff, go check out some of our other videos on Encinitas. But one thing you will notice is it is already pretty dense, right? There's not a ton of open space. You do have some nature trails back here. But let's start in the eastern portion of Encinitas. Every one of these projects got a ton of blowback as well. So over these past few years, these are the ones that have made it through. But this was originally called the Goodson Project. It's about 200 units, the start of the rural area called Livin right here in Encinitas. And right now, it is massive. We'll bring up some pictures, but you can see it was just an empty lot here. So we've seen a lot of the homes surrounding there, because now as we're going through this, multifamily is not bad, right? We need some more housing, but if you're living around any of these areas, you're definitely going to get some overfill. Now they have parking and all that, but it just kind of happens. There's a few areas that have apartments here in Encinitas that have mandated some parking requirements. So you need a parking pass to park in that neighborhood. So it's protecting the people who are living there so you don't get a ton of overflow, but there are very few of those. The next complex that we're going to see right up here, now we're going towards the coast, is in this section right here. And this used to be called Sunshine Gardens. There used to be a little pie shop here, a little olive oil place over here, but it is going to be new units. So let's see if they have it built out yet. Now if you drive by, that's the old Sunshine Gardens. Now if you drive by, it's a huge apartment complex. So right on the corner of Encinitas Boulevard and Quill Gardens right there. Now that one's about 140 units. Now right across the road, right in this big section, right on Encinitas Boulevard, I was driving by the other day. I was like, what are they building up there? Because this whole hill is being taken out right now. So they're building about 202 units on this called, as of now, the Moonlight Apartment. So another huge area that's going to have a ton of multifamily. Now, as we go down Quill Gardens, there's another area right here that is potentially going to be built on. There's another area right down Quail Gardens. I believe it's some open space in here. I don't know exactly where it is, but a ton of pushback. Once again, they're trying to actually convert it to a community park. So there's just a lot of this multi-family construction going on right off Clark Avenue, right by this freeway here too. You can see it. They've updated the Google map right here. You can see they're building all of this right here, just squeezed into this little corner of Encinitas. So right down Clark, you're going to go down and you're going to have a bunch of apartments right here. There's nearly 200 apartments going in right here. So they're just finding all this open space, and a lot of it is going to be developed. Now that's not all. There's also this new development over here. Now this is single family homes. It's actually a cool little community right here, but used to just be a bunch of open space. If you look into Encinitas And you see some of these greenhouses, you see some of this open space. This is what a lot of it used to be. Nurseries used to be a lot of poinsettias, a lot of that kind of area. Obviously you get infill, but then you get some bigger communities like this, Fox Point Farms right here. Now, once again, limited parking within here, but awesome area. Actually, we could go there with the kids. You hang out on this lawn right here. You get some beers right inside the market right here. They do have a working farm here. They have a brewery, coffee shop, events, all kinds of stuff up here. So it is a cool little spot to go check out. But once again, more construction. Now, as we go a little bit further to the north, right here, new construction community right next to the freeway. Once again, this is some single family homes, and this one's called The Cove in Encinitas. You can see $2.7 million starting price point. There's, I think, like 40-ish homes right in here. So 42 new homes, a couple different styles in here. They are in the building phases right now. So awesome location, but once again, a little more of these infill communities. Another one as we go down to the south a little bit, as we go into just this little community, this little area right off Crest over here. So it's right off Melba here as you go in. So Crest is a big, highly desired street right here in Encinitas. Big lots, big homes, but right off you see some of this rural space. You can see Save Our Neighborhoods, 30 homes is too much. So I believe it's this little neighborhood, and they're actually pre-selling some of these homes in here right now. That's not all. There's another one right off of Santa Fe. So if we go a little bit further to the south right here to Santa Fe, this open area is Shadow Mountain Church. They're working on getting this going as a new construction community. Right next to the pickleball courts right here, actually awesome spot too. This place is always popping. Pickleball is pretty big in here. And there's even some communities along hillsides right over here where they're trying to fit in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 homes right next to this water tower. This is literally just like an open hillside right here. So squeezing in these little neighborhoods in limited space. And now with all of this construction and all of this infill communities and all these multifamily communities coming up, obviously you're getting more density, but there's also a lot of infrastructure projects. So you're going to get a lot of construction going through here in Encinitas as well. And this is going to continue to surge going into 2026. Right here, Santa Fe, they recently redid all this. You can see all these back-end parking spots right here. It's kind of ridiculous, but they are actually going to scrap that and rebuild Santa Fe in a $3 million overhaul, because there was just like, they built it, it didn't make sense, it was already done. Actually, they kind of paused it halfway through. They're like, I don't think this makes sense. So they will be redoing that project as well. And down over in Leucadia, which is just to the northern section of Encinitas, if we go down over on the west side of the 5, you go to the north part of Encinitas, you're gonna find North Coast Highway. You are in Leucadia right there. But Leucadia, there's a huge construction project going on down there where they're making a lot of these streets too, which we've seen this throughout Encinitas, a little more bike friendly, just more barriers or more, less lanes. So it's adding a little bit to the congestion to these areas too. Some roundabouts, hoping to help a little bit with traffic. Those are having their issues, but adding more sidewalks, because this area of Encinitas, it was kind of like old school where it was like dirt on one side next to the train tracks, and the other side you might have a sidewalk. Now they're building a little more parking, a little more updated infrastructure. This area also floods during rains and stuff, so trying to mitigate some of that, but adding some crossings across the train tracks here. But that's not all. They're also doing construction and improvements in the schools here. Measure Z was a prop that passed last year. It's a bond that Encinitas voters did pass, and it's a lot of money going back to the schools. So there's a lot of projects planned for a lot of these schools. There's a lot of projects going on. Some other new things around the school. Paul Ecky's actually one of the older schools that's in the Leucadia area. They're actually going to be basically ripping that whole school down, building it up from the ground up. So if you were thinking about moving out here next year and you're looking at Leucadia and your kids were supposed to go there, just be aware, school's not going to be there. It's going to be rebuilt. Those schools, the kids are separating to a few different schools around Encinitas, but there is a lot of infrastructure building on the school front you will see going on over these next few years. And so the outcome of all this, it's going to be more dense. You're going to have more people around. You're going to have more traffic, and a lot of these main corridors, especially going towards the freeways, Encinitas Boulevard. There's a few I didn't even mention too, down El Camino Real, that are being proposed, which are some more apartments. There's another development of houses down Manchester that is being proposed. So there's just a lot more stuff in the works right now, and that's going to continue. Now, like I said, is multifamily bad? No, we need new housing, right? But if you are living around those, you're going to get a little more traffic. If you have traveled through those a lot, you're going to get a little more traffic. All in all, Encinitas still feels a lot smaller than some of these other areas. You can still get across pretty quick. If you're living north to Carlsbad, a lot bigger, a lot more space. You got a lot more area to cover. Now here in Encinitas, a little more smaller, a little more condensed, which when we get new apartments, new condos, new houses, new infrastructure, new construction, all that, it will be a little more dense. So there will be a surge in building right here in Encinitas in 2026. And maybe Encinitas is on your list and you want to find some areas that would be perfect for you and your family, but you don't want to be right in these areas that are going to get a little more congested. And maybe you're in some of the few other areas that are going to explode that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But if you want to start that conversation, I'm Chris Erickson. I'm with the Livin in San Diego real estate crew, and we got your back. We're making the move here to San Diego. So easiest way, call, text, email, and let's start that conversation and figure out the perfect spot for you and the family. Now, the next area of San Diego that we're going to see a surge in is actually the city of San Diego. Not all the city. I'll bring up a map here in a minute and show you how big the city is and what areas we're going to expect to see some of this growth in. But there is a new project that the city is working on that could definitely change the character of a lot of these neighborhoods, add a lot more housing, once again, add some more density. And I think if it does go through, we'll see the same thing happen that did happen with ADUs, which I'll get into all that right now. All right, so the new program they're working on is called Neighborhood Homes for Us All. And they're trying to create opportunities for small scale neighborhood homes in areas currently zoned for single family homes that are near public transit. So that is clue one, near public transit. Neighborhood homes are townhomes, duplexes, and small scale multiple home buildings that complement the surrounding area, maintaining the neighborhood's high desirability by allowing for more than one home on an existing lot, the opportunity to buy or rent, which in the news article I read, it didn't even mention renting, but some of these can definitely be rented as well, so like build to rent. One of these homes will be more accessible price point for San Diegans, including first-time home buyers and middle income households. Their goal here, the idea is San Diego as a whole, we don't have enough housing. The number of homes on the market is never enough. So by building more housing or allowing more houses to be built in some of these already built out areas, it's going to increase the supply of homes, the number of homes on the market. But let's jump into what this is. So as you're going through neighborhood homes, in San Diego, nearly 80% of the land is zoned for homes that are designated for single family homes. So in addition, most new homes being built in San Diego right now, which I mentioned, are 5 to 7 story apartment buildings. So some of those bigger buildings there, this plan is hoping to combat that. So here's what they're looking at, right? You got detached homes in these neighborhoods. They are looking to build some of these small cottages. You can see probably like 6 units right here. You can see some duplexes, some townhomes, some small scale multifamily. This is what has been being built over recent years. You'll see the next place that we're going to show you had one of the biggest mid-rise residential buildings built in all of San Diego, but that's not necessarily why it is going to surge in 2026. But right now they are in phase 1 of this. So this whole plan, if it goes together, you're not necessarily going to see it go into effect until maybe in the next few years. But right now they're doing public engagement, feasibility studies, kind of getting everything, the neighborhood input. They're getting input from everybody. Phase 2 is going to go in summer through winter of 2026. And that's where they're going to set down regulations and figure out, exactly what can be done. But where in San Diego can these homes actually be built? To ensure neighborhood homes further the city's climate action plan, they will be considered in areas identified in the city's general plan, village climate goal propensity map. So let's check it out. All right, so here's the city of San Diego, right? So down here, we have downtown San Diego. This area right here, Balboa Park. You got North Park up here as you're going up, but you can see a lot of area of San Diego just south of the 56 where you got like Mira Mesas and stuff, or the 52 rather. Then even going up to Carmel Valley, up into Rancho Bernardo, up and down now the 56, La Jolla, all that kind of stuff. But where they're gonna likely look to implement this plan is going to be where you see this high value, so these darker colors in here. So once again, a lot of the urban areas, a lot of suburban areas right outside downtown, up and down the 8 freeway where you get like Mission Valley, a few other areas in there. You will see a few little spots up here, but where you don't see it is in some of these areas up here. Like I said, Rancho Bernardo, which is its own little city basically, but it's the city of San Diego, where you have Rancho Penasquitos, where you have Carmel Valley over here. So all those areas aren't necessarily going to be affected by this. And like this article here says, how to make San Diego more affordable. That's part of the reason that they are doing this. And one thing to note though, just because the housing spurred by the initiative will be newly built. It might not necessarily be as affordable as some older homes that have become less expensive as they have aged, right? If you're looking at some of these homes, they're going to be newer. They're likely going to have more square footage. A lot of the neighborhoods that they're looking at and potentially putting these into effect are like older neighborhoods, 40s, 50s, 60s, that have smaller footprint homes, maybe larger yards. So those older homes are likely going to be less expensive, even though the newer homes are going to be tighter. They're going to be new. They're likely, like I said, going to have more square footage, likely 2 stories in a lot of cases, and basically sell for more. So who knows if they're actually going to be more affordable. But also, city officials say that the new zoning isn't likely to be added to all single-family neighborhoods, suggesting that car-dependent neighborhoods like Carmel Valley and Rancho Mira aren't generally considered good candidates. So this is all making its way through right now, and going to go through studies and public feedback and all that kind of stuff going through 2026. So you're likely not going to see the full effects until future years. But one thing that we have seen effects from, and it's gone through a few phases now, is ADUs. And what happened is there was a big surge in ADUs because certain areas, it was kind of similar to this, where they were allowing density bonuses and you could build more units on a property. If it was within transit areas, if it was within specific zones within San Diego, you could build a lot of units on there. So as this goes forward, I think as developers get more involved and see more value in some of these larger lots that might have more value if they were built out with multiple homes on there. Some of these older lots in certain areas are going to get more value, but you're also going to get more density in some of these areas. You're going to get more parking issues. You're going to get a lot of other stuff that you might not think even if you purchase one of these old homes, maybe you are getting this, multifamily or smaller multifamily units next door to you. So I think if this did go through, yeah, it's going to be, there's going to be a ton of blowback on this, but let me show you what happened with ADUs and where we're at with that, because I think we're going to continue to see a surge in that going forward. So this is through the city of San Diego as well. And recently, there's some of these developers, like I said, they got density bonus. They were able to build 4, 8, 12, 50. There's this one in PB. An ADU project was paused as a judge orders city of San Diego to stop permits. But this wasn't just any small ADU development. Proposed development known as Chalcifica included 136 ADU dwellings. And so that went on for a while. Some of these lots, some of these places were being able to build out. Like there's one specific one I'm thinking of. It was single family homes all around at the end of a cul-de-sac, so that this lot had a huge yard, right? They built, I don't know how many units in the backyard, but a ton of units in the backyard. And before the city council adopted reforms, it was not only legal, a lot of developers took advantage of it and decided to, build a bunch of ADUs in some of these areas. But as they amended, there's new rules, fire safety setbacks. So ADUs are called accessory dwelling units, or those little guest homes that you see in in people's backyards. But there's parking requirements now. There's a community enhancement fee. There's a limit to the number of homes you can put on some of these areas. So you can't put, there was, like I said, density bonuses if you put affordable housing. Some of that is no longer. But one thing I do think is going to happen as this goes through, even with the new regulations, even with the less number of ADUs, I think some of the values in these properties that have room to do this are going to continue to go up in value, maybe at a quicker clip than certain other properties. It's because of this right here. An ADU home can be a separate sale. So it implements Assembly Bill 1033, allowing for the subdivision of ADU homes into condominium units that can be sold separately from primary residence. So basically, if you got a property, build an ADU, you can potentially take it. There's obviously guidelines you got to do. You got to make like a HOA and stuff and make sure you follow all those rules or whatever. But you could sell that property that you built in your yard separately from your house. As of super recently, you weren't able to do that. They both had to be going together. But if you could sell them separately, if you could build the ADU for less than you could sell it for, it might be worthwhile to build it. But obviously then you have somebody living in your backyard. There's pros and cons to all that. Now this is for all the county of San Diego, but I think this trend is going to continue within the city of San Diego as well. Now, if the neighborhood homes for us all goes through, they're not going to be called ADUs. They're going to be called single family homes, right? Even though they're all within a smaller community right here, or a smaller lot. But the number of ADU permits and completes has increased dramatically since 2020. If we're looking at the number of ADUs permitted from 2020, you had 1150 all the way up to almost 4,000. the number of ADUs completed from 300 all the way up to nearly 2,000. So the trend of ADUs is definitely going to continue within the San Diego. So we're definitely going to see the explosion and the surge of that going forward. Now, this third area is not only seeing an explosion in growth, it's seeing a revitalization. It's seeing a brand new downtown being created, and it's in San Marcos. And we made a bunch of videos on this specific area of San Marcos. So go check some of those out on our YouTube channel. And just if you want to explore more, a little bit more in depth, but let's check out this area of North City in San Marcos. All right, so let me show you San Marcos here. San Marcos is where I grew up. It's near and dear to my heart, and it's seen a ton of growth over these past few years. When I was growing up, a lot of this area, San Diego Hills, was not here. Some of this area back here by Discovery, where you see Discovery Lake popping up, was here, but it has been a lot more built out. In the specific area I'm talking about, that's going to see a ton of growth, and it's definitely going to become the new downtown of San Marcos, since there's no true downtown right now. So it's going to be a meeting spot, a central hub, all that kind of stuff, as we see in other cities, right? San Marcos is one of the only ones around that doesn't necessarily have that downtown hub where you're going out to dinner, you're going out to hang, you're going to the farmer's market, all that kind of stuff. Where you're looking at other cities, you have the Main Street over in Vista, you have Carlsbad Village, you have Coast Highway in Encinitas, you have all these types of spots. So it's going to be a huge development, and as this continues to grow, not only are they getting housing, they're getting restaurants, they're getting new infrastructure. All this is exploding in 2026. So this main area that is being built out and has seen a huge transformation that is also improving the rest of the city as well is split by Twin Oaks. You have Discovery on one side, you have Barham on the other side, and this is the North City area just north of Cal State San Marcos. Now, growing up here, I didn't even really know Cal State was here. It was sleepy. It was a commuter school. Now it's becoming a little bit more of, destination. They're getting some sports programs, etc. But it is definitely blowing up. All right, so here is North City. Now, a lot of this is currently being built. So some of this area down here is not built out yet. This is in the works. This huge new complex right here. This was one of the biggest apartment complexes built in all of San Diego last year, and it is opening this year. And this is 222 North City, 2 different buildings, big, huge area. They're gonna have a ton of retail down here. It is just a massive building, especially as you're driving through San Marcos. Look around, there's not much else going on out here. This is all single family out here. These are like literally the biggest buildings in a lot of North County right here. A lot of this is potentially built out, like some of the student housing is built out. This building at the end, I believe they are construction right now. You have 2 acres of open space down there. And here's what the master plan includes. You have 200 acres of urban density. You have 2,600 homes. You have 25 acres of parks, paseos, and green space, and 1.35 million square feet of office and retail space. And so far, you can see down here, 2025, this is the North City area that they just already built. You can see some in the works for 2027 and some future mixed development as well. So a lot of those bigger buildings are on the east side of Twin Oaks right here, where you have like the central area. This is where you're gonna find some of the restaurants and stuff right now. As they build out, obviously it's gonna spread out. It's gonna go all the way across to Twin Oaks. There's gonna be some more commercial over here. This over here, I'll get to what that is in a sec, so stay tuned for that. But this area is just exploding, and it's going to continue over the next few years. Now, one of the biggest communities, if you're looking for brand new construction, is going to be the Hill District right here. There's 6 communities. They are in different phases of building them right now, but you have a bunch of different styles too. So you have some of the, townhome style. You have some of the single family homes. A lot of it's this townhome style. There's not too many single family homes, but they're different styles of the single family depending on what exactly you're looking for. Where you have, these ones are a little more single family like, where you share a driveway. You got your garage here, maybe you have a unit here and then on the corners. And then you have some of these areas too, where you have like the 2-story little patio out front. And right now that is all in this section over here. So all this area is a lot more built out than it's showing in the satellite right now. That's all in this upper part. If you're looking on a map right here, it is all up here. You can't really tell, but it is a little bit elevated. There's going to be some more commercial down here. They're building a park over at the top over here. So you're going to get another park in this little section of San Marcos as well. And so they already do have some infrastructure, but as they build out, as they continue to grow, you're going to see more companies, more businesses, more restaurants go in there. This guy's climbing at an area called Mesa Rim right now. Huge climbing gym right there. So get a little exercise, but you have a few restaurants. One of my favorites, Buena Forqueta right here. I've been to the San Marcos one, but they have a few others around town. They have a little pastry shop, wine spot, Draft Republic, great spot, huge open area. You got kids, they have a little arcade, they have a huge outdoor space too, coffee spot, cookie spot. Here's Mesa Rim. They have empanada spot. They have Tarantula Hill Brewing, which is within Draft Republic, a few other spots, and then Japanese spot, a little ice cream. So that's only what's there right now. They're also trying to build a little bit more of that community feel. So social hour, happy hour at Draft Republic, happy hour at Buena Forqueta, weekly farmers market there. They have some live music going on. They got a Valentine's Day event coming up, spring fling, movies in the park, movies outside, Star Wars celebration, all kinds of stuff. Ton of retail space, a lot of retail space that's still available too. I'm excited to see what's going in there. Co-work space. So if you need a little co-work space, I was just looking it up. I believe it's $400 just for like to be a part of it, $600 for your own space, and then like $1,000 if you want your own office within here, but a nice little co-work space here. In this area too, like I said, it's not just there. There's a brand new Kaiser Hospital right here. There's this little community right over this way that's only a few years old. They rebuilt this whole area down here, so you have a few trails going along around here. It's called the Creek Project. You're in that area too. Oh, there's a new little soccer park right here. You get to all the trails in San Alejo. You get to this new South Lake Park over here. So there's just a lot going on in this area, and I think this is probably the biggest area that we're seeing the most growth going into 2026. And definitely if you like this area, you want some more intel, go check out that video right there. It is, we're jumping into not only this area, but a few of the surrounding neighborhoods where you have access to a lot of this. So maybe you don't want brand new construction, you want a little more established neighborhood. We cover those as well, but go check out that video because we got your back. We're making the move here to San Diego.